Welcome to Culture on Tap. We are a podcast that is about bridging the cultural gap one conversation at a time. We have myself, Xavier, we have Range behind the camera, and we have my beautiful wife here for another week. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe on anywhere you listen to or watch podcasts. And make sure you hit the bell so that you get notifications whenever we have new content that comes out so that you can tap in with us. And so that we can be a resource for you, whether to challenge and or encourage you. How you doing?
I'm good. That was great.
That was great.
I'm amazed at your voice.
Oh wow,
It's great.
Mesmerized.
What's
Mesmerized.
Mesmerizing. Yeah.
what's wrong with my voice?
I love it.
What's wrong with it?
See, it's changed.
No, what's wrong with it?
It's your announcer's voice.
Oh wow.
It's good though.
Okay.
Sorry, I patted you.
Which is why Jessica had you do the names for the baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
See, he's got a good. It's not a bad thing. It's just you just turn it on, and
Wow.
it's funny to me because I'm like, that is not my husband's real voice.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyways.
But I mean, some people have telephone voice, and
Oh yeah. Mhm. His family definitely got a telephone voice. We've talked about it too.
What are you talking about?
Like your mom, Auntie Lorraine, Zippy, your sister.
Oh, yeah,
There's a telephone voice.
Yeah,
We're gonna
that's
leave it
awesome.
at that.
Yeah. So, in us getting to know you, you really just getting to know me.
I mean, there's a lot of things people don't know about you. Go ahead, ask your question though.
Wow.
What? I didn't say nothing. It should be like that.
Yes,
There's a
it
lot of
is.
things people don't know about me that
This
you can
is
say.
True. This is true.
Okay,
This is true.
thank God you don't.
So, we talking about food. We like to eat.
We do like to eat.
We like different foods. We like, especially.
Okay, hold on. Different foods. You need to be a little more specific about different foods. What
We
you mean
like
by that?
different foods, like Mexican food, Italian
Oh,
food,
okay.
Disney food.
Okay.
Like, where you?
Because anytime I'm like, here, babe, try this. What is it?
Okay, I say that because I'm allergic to
Well,
things.
we've been doing this long enough. When anybody asks, hey, what's your allergies? Who starts rattling them off first?
Me.
Yeah, like too bad.
Okay, look. We just talking about foods here.
yeah,
Different foods.
All right, come on.
Okay? What are some of y'all's, like, what is the best food combination that you got, like, that you love to eat?
yeah.
Chicken wings and fries.
Chicken wings and fries. Is that?
But they can't be soggy fries. Like, I love bonfire wings, but the fries be too soggy.
Oh, wow.
I like mine like Buffalo Wild Wings when they fresh, when they.
Crispy.
Okay, so we're going to do that?
I'm just saying.
First off,
Bonfire Buffalo Wild Wings.
okay, listen to what I said. I said I like the chicken wings from Bonfire, not the fries.
Okay.
The fries from Buffalo
Okay.
is what I said. And while he over here acting, ask him why he ordered a side of fries with his street tacos and chips and salsa today from Buffalo Wild Wings, okay? Am I lying?
Today?
Today.
Yes, today. Because
Today.
this comes out on Wednesday. So, I didn't do it today. Anyways. Range, what about you?
Well, you know.
So my, I guess obvious given answer is a steak with a baked potato.
And some,
Mhm.
and some spuds.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just meat and potatoes.
Yep.
But I actually wasn't raised on a lot of potatoes.
Really?
When we had steak, we had potatoes,
That was the only time?
just about.
Oh, man.
But so we were mostly rice. So
Oh,
my
that
my
was his
second
family.
would be pork chop, rice and gravy.
Oh, okay.
No,
for sure.
That's it. That's it. Like for me, I could go steak and potatoes, or steak and potatoes. But I'll probably just go with rice, vegetables, and chicken.
Yeah.
Baked
That
chicken?
is
Or
baked
stew
chicken.
chicken?
Baked chicken.
Oh, no, stew chicken is so good.
So just so
Look
White
at
rice.
So
Like,
everything that we did with rice
can they
was
see Ranger's
rice and
face?
gravy.
Did you see Ranger's face? Did you? He's
So you like just and
No, there's
I'll
gravy.
eat plain rice.
No,
There's-
but
there's-
but the way his mom makes it, anytime there's any kind of meat, there's gravy.
For sure.
Whether she makes it in the bottom of the pan with the
Yeah.
grease and the veggies and the seasonings and all the things, there's always going to be something you can pour over your rice and your veggies and your meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's it. Rice, potatoes, not rice, potatoes. Rice, vegetables, and chicken. Baked chicken.
Baked chicken.
Give me some stew meat.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Stew meat. Oof. Pigeon pea rice.
Yeah, well, see, you see, we love food. We love
So
food.
good.
Absolutely.
But today, we are going to, what were you about to say?
Honestly, I think
ahead.
that's a good segue into our what we're going to talk about. Food.
So what are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about us
What about us?
and our relationship.
What about our relationship?
How we got here.
Well, we know how we got here.
How did we get here?
So when a man and
When your
no,
daddy and your mama.
we gotta, food is a good segue because you grew up on certain foods.
Yes.
Range, you grew up on certain
Yeah.
foods. I grew up on certain
Mm-hmm.
foods. And we just have different cultural backgrounds.
Yeah.
And so for you and I,
Mm-hmm.
clearly,
What? Clearly.
we have different backgrounds.
Although Kai tells me I need more brown spots.
She does.
So I can
More
be
brown
brown.
spot.
She says, Mommy, you need more brown spots so you can be brown like us. I said, oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about, our relationship growing
Mm-hmm.
up, being junior high
God, don't do it.
sweethearts.
Mm.
We weren't sweetheart. He was a lustful, treacherous.
Yes, I understand
I know,
that,
I'm
but
just
that's
teasing.
that's the
Yeah.
terminology.
You're
So
right.
junior high sweethearts,
We met playing basketball.
yeah.
Hit the game winner. Hap. Brother was calling me. And me and him were on the same team. And I just thought he was the cutest little thing I ever seen. And he came running to me like, hey, hey. He gave me the hardest high five ever. And I was just like, oh, yes. And then we were in band together.
Hmm.
And his cousin, you see, I got to say this slow because
Yes.
then people are like,
Yeah, what y'all got going on there?
yeah.
But we
His-
clearly not
We're
family.
clearly not in the same family. His cousin is now married to my brother, but she was my best friend in junior high. And we had Mr. Clark's science class together. And she slipped me a little note.
Mr. Clark.
Mr. Clark, remember?
Yes.
He had the green skin.
Mm-hmm. No, stop. You ain't have to do
I
that.
mean,
Okay.
there was two.
She
Anyway, she
Slid the note.
slipped me a little note. Can I have your number? Check yes, check no.
Game was fire, wasn't it? Game was fire.
It
You
smelled
know what I'm
like
talking about?
smelled like a bag of potato chips in a locker room.
Ooh, when you over?
Y'all, he wore
Game was fire.
he wore the same
Old Navy?
hoodie.
Was it Old Navy?
I think it was just from Walmart. It was like a charcoal gray hoodie.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
thing was just it just had a smell.
Oh.
Like I can remember the smell.
Every
like if
day.
it hit my nose, I could be like, oh
Hot,
my gosh, sweating because we
cold.
had to sit outside of the school before we could get in.
Please.
And
it
it's
was all
Texas.
part of the plan. Because if she could love me there, she
You
could love me
right?
everywhere.
I'm gonna love you on the top, baby.
Yeah.
You know it. You already know it.
Game was fire. You couldn't deny that. You had to check. He's like, I got
You barely talked. What do you mean? You would flick me in the ear and barely talk.
That's it. That's all I needed. Oh yeah, it was great.
Lord have mercy.
It was great. But
We made
we
it.
are.
We made it. We don't recommend that to anybody.
no,
You need to figure out who the heck you are first. Walk through your pains. Be single. And obviously that's easy for me to say because
Yeah.
I know that we have single people in our lives who really long
desire
to be married, and I think that's a beautiful thing. I also think though in the world that we live in, we can idolize being married,
Yes.
and we don't appreciate the singleness.
Yeah.
Because if there was one thing, I think if there was one thing, we always talk about this. If there was one thing I could have done different when I was in college, I wouldn't have came home during the summer. Or I wouldn't say I wouldn't have come home, but I would have went and worked like at camps. I would have went on mission trips. I would have just experienced life,
Yeah.
and I didn't. 'Cause I was
Yeah.
ready to get home. see my boo thing and my family. Like I also loved coming home though
Mhm.
as well. So
Yeah. So where did your attraction stem from, as far as because clearly we are different. So where
you know that Andy
what is
Mineo
the
song where he says brown mocha diva. I don't know.
brown skin
Mm,
mocha
mocha
diva? But I hope in my eyes
diva.
she's a believer. Okay.
Yeah, it was that.
Hmm.
Just that brown skin. It was something about it, and he had long hair. He had these long, thick, trash braids. His mama was luxurious. He just luxurious now. But his mom hated doing his hair. Anyways, but it was you were quiet. You seemed mysterious.
Mm-hmm.
There was just a mystery about you. You loved basketball. I think too because I could wear basketball. I mean, that was my attraction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was that because that's where I met you, was at the rec center.
Yeah.
And Noelle and Brandon were talking. You was sitting there with your red basketball shorts on, your white wife beater with a blue do rag with your Iversons on,
Wow.
sitting on the rail, not saying nothing, and I'm just standing behind my brother, just kind of like, all right, cool. He kind of cute. And then we played basketball, and I'm like, oh, he likes basketball. I like basketball. Cool. And then we were in band together. You sat behind me.
Mm-hmm.
Your cousin Niche slid me the little note.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what
I'll
about?
tell you, my attraction stemmed from whenever I was a kid, 1998, I was 8 years old. I loved the movie The Parent Trap.
Okay.
I loved it, right? And I said, from then on, I was going to marry me a white woman with freckles because I loved Lindsay Lohan whenever I was 8,
Yeah.
and I was like, that's where the attraction stemmed from. Like, that's where it's at. That's what we're going to do.
I don't know that I had a moment like that where I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna marry a black man.
Yeah, I had that moment at
The
8 years
brown
old.
mocha skin.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know that I had that.
Yeah. So we started dating.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you want to, yeah, you call it that. So how was it in high school years?
High school years sucked. They're traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much baggage we carried into marriage
Mm-hmm.
that we also don't advise.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so much like identity crisis, and like my life was wrapped up in you and sports.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. You and
Yeah.
sports. And so what we talked about kind of in the previous podcast was just about how you handled hard things. We just didn't talk about them. And you would shut down, and because of my own struggles with just the silent treatment and what that did for me, it just ate away at my, it just made me more insecure.
Yeah.
That's also where we began to honeymoon, way before the honeymoon,
Mhm.
and I think that affected everything
Yeah.
tremendously.
Soul tie.
Yeah, just the deep, deep wounds that were caused by both of us.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there was. I feel like in high school I enjoyed high school. Like, I had fun. I loved sports. I had a boyfriend. Like, life was good, right? But then, sophomore year, was it sophomore year? My sophomore year.
My junior year.
God, I just didn't think I was gonna live. It's so just like, God, first off, no.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I could just go back to my 14-year-old self and say, you are so much more than being wrapped up in this relationship. Like, you haven't even lived life yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you barely hit puberty. You know what I mean? Like there's so much life to live, and you're putting all your eggs in one basket. Like, just enjoy your friends. And that was I wish I would have just enjoyed my friends more.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to think, junior year for me was really hard because we got back together. We broke up, and then we got back together junior year, and that year it was just super toxic. Like I
Mm-hmm.
can remember just wanting to, like, you remember, like, just wanting to leave the
Mm-hmm.
school sometimes. It's just, there's just so much, so
Mm-hmm.
much. And then senior year, even more stuff, like playing against people.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, you remember that? Like,
Mhm.
finding out and me getting in the car, like, really? Really? This is what we doing?
Mhm,
You
mhm.
know?
Yeah.
It's just so much.
So on top of all of the toxicity and the drama, we have the ethnicity
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
You know, like we have this
We grew up very different.
right. You know, so it's like you grew up on pork chops and potatoes.
Mashed
I
potatoes,
grew up
yeah.
on fungi and fish.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you grew up Johnny Cash. I grew up Bob Marley.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so we have all of this toxicness going on top of just the cultural differences
Yeah.
to where you remember El Toro's and then Dairy Queen
Oh,
afterward.
yeah. That was...
What happened there?
I think, too, I would like to go back to the very first question. So put a pin right here and keep this
Okay.
question for me, the one you just asked. But I think, too, another thing that drawed me to you was that you were different. You were very different. I've never been a person who's just like boxes, right? Like I want to paint with all the colors. Like I want to get out there and you know, like that's just, I enjoy listening to different music. I enjoy trying new foods. I enjoy hearing people talk in with their families, and just, you know, when you get around your family, accents come out, whether it's an island accent or a country accent or a, you know, a Cajun, like, you know, a strong Cajun accent. Like I love it because I think it's a beautiful display of
You know,
God's
lanyap
creation.
of this,
Right, exactly.
lanyap of that.
I mean, Jessica tells me that, you know, like whenever we go back home,
It just
she'll
comes
tell
out.
me you talk different.
Yeah, it just comes out. But I think that's so beautiful because I think that displays the imago Dei on all of us in God's creation, and that He is so unique and so specific, and that each one of us, regardless of ethnicity and culture and skin color, matter to the kingdom.
Yeah.
And until we recognize that, it'll just, you'll miss out on so much, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So El Toro
Oh, okay. So
is your 16th
I would also,
birthday?
I think it was my 15th birthday because I
15th.
didn't have my license yet. I think I just turned 15 because my mom was letting me drive around at 14 without like the permit or whatever. And I remember I didn't have my license. Like, Mom, like, can we go out to eat for my birthday? We're just gonna go to El Toro right down the road and then go to Dairy Queen. She's like, yeah. And I think this was like a real pivotal moment for me. Because I'm trying to think if there was anything prior to that one experience where I was like, what the hell is this?
I don't think there was that I can.
I mean,
remember.
I think I knew from like movies and,
yeah.
you know, like Hollywood.
Yeah, remember the Titans?
Titans,
you
yes,
know, stuff like that.
an
yeah.
amazing movie,
Yep.
right? But this moment, so we went, and there was like, I don't know how, there was not a lot of people in there. So the way it's set up is like in an L, there's booths, and then in the middle there's tables. So we go in, and I mean, we're young. We look like babies. And we're sitting right, it felt like we were sitting right in the middle of the restaurant. And I remember leaning over to him and saying, do you feel like we're right in the middle of the restaurant? Everybody's looking at us. He was
You
like,
can't
yep.
hear.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. I just remember leaning over.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was whispering to him, like, do you feel like we're right in the middle of the restaurant? Everybody's, like, looking at us. He was like, yep. And I just remember feeling so uncomfortable. And, like, I kept kind of looking around. People were just looking at us.
Mm-hmm. And not to the point where it's just like we're in line of sight. It's like,
yeah.
like
we're having
turning
to turn.
and it's just like spotlight on us. It was very, very.
It was. And so what year is this? Like
uncomfortable.
2000, what year is it? I'm not good with these types of things.
2007.
This is you.
2006.
No, not 2007. You
2006.
graduated in 2000. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Probably 2007. You right, my bad.
2006, 2007.
Yeah. And so I just felt super uncomfortable, and I was like, oh, this is weird. But I remember like kind of feeling angry too.
It was 2006 because it was your 15th birthday. You were born 91.
Thanks, babe.
There you go.
And you just told the people my age. Dang. That's okay. Am I 32 or 32? I was thinking about that the other day.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. So then it was like, we ate uncomfortably. I don't even remember if we talked. I just remember feeling like,
yeah,
and just wanting to get out of there. So I'm like, okay, let's just go to Dairy Queen and get some ice cream. We're going to be all right there.
Oh, please.
It was worse.
It was worse.
So there's no exaggeration, okay? It's us, and I think it was just that couple.
Just that couple.
So we go in, we get our ice cream, and they're sitting in one section. And I parked the truck, not realizing it. I just parked, and it was right in front of the window where they were sitting. And so we get and get our ice cream. And so, like, they're sitting in this section. The door's here. You come in, and we're sitting, like, over here. And, like, we're eating. But I think we're facing each other this way so we can see out of our peripheral. We could see the couple out of our peripheral. Mm-hmm. Well, the man was facing us, and the lady had her back to us. The entire time, I'm
not exaggerating.
My yes is my yes, and my no is my no. Like, she kept going like this. She did look.
Only two couples in the restaurant.
Just us and them, and then the workers.
Well, yeah.
And literally, and I just remember feeling hot. Like I by this point, I'm livid. Like I'm pissed. And so because my truck is parked in front of the window, I feel like this was a kind way to do it. Okay. This was a very kind way for me to do what I did. Because I could have did something so much worse. But I laid on the horn, blew my horn, and did it just like this.
Whenever we got up to leave.
Like we were in the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just...
Yeah, we were leaving. Yeah, sorry. When we left, we got back in the truck. But I remember feeling that way. But I think now as an adult too, if we want to go this way. I also think it could have been harmful to you what I did. Had it been a different couple. Had the man been aggressive. Had there been a police officer. Like when we got...
Looking back.
Yeah.
Looking back and knowing what I know now. Because there's so much ignorance in an innocent way. Is that the way to put it?
Yeah.
Like it's not that I wanted to be ignorant. But in my mind, I'm like, what are y'all looking at?
Right.
Like me and my boyfriend are on a date. What's the big deal?
Right.
Like, to me, it made no sense. But I think, like I said, knowing what I know now and the things that we've gone through, like, that for me was such a huge moment in recognizing, oh, y'all don't like this just because of the color of our skin.
Mm-hmm. No, nothing about
nothing.
Us, but
nothing about him.
Right.
Because the reality, too, is I think did I get my license before you?
Mm-hmm.
I got my license at 15, right? Mm-hmm. 15. So I've been driving, or I got my permit at 15, got my license at 16. You got your license at 18. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm driving everywhere, and he's with me. When we got pulled over after he proposed to me. There's just different things, and so many people have so many opinions about this and experiences. And so I think it's just like, be careful what you say if you're not living in it. In not just this, but in any situation.
Yeah.
I can't speak on adoption. I don't know what that's like. I feel like, because we live life and, I've seen you guys walk through adoption. Yeah. Because some of these Youth Reach boys we have adopted, but I have not had to go through the emotional roller coaster of whether or not, this baby is going to be with us for the rest of our lives or not.
Right.
I can't speak firmly, I can't speak dogmatically on that.
Right.
Okay, and maybe the people were looking at us because we were young, but that is not what it felt like.
Right.
Like you can just, I feel like you know.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Like when you've done it, and it's vice versa too. No matter the skin color, it's come both ways. And yeah, there's been moments of like doubt. I can remember having a conversation like, and I know there's a statistic about in
40 something.
something the dominant race, would that be the right word, will be mixed kids. That's beautiful, that's great. However, like it still doesn't stop these fears or these insecurities from sometimes infiltrating my mind. Okay. And yes, I did not grow up with a black father or black brothers or any of these things, and so it is new to me. It's not new for him. It's not new for his dad. His dad taught them things that they just had to know, being a black man. Get your feelings hurt if you want to, but unless you're living in it and walking in those shoes, you can't speak on it. Like,
yeah,
you can't speak on it. I mean, you can, but you're just speaking to argue at this point. Like, you're just speaking to prove us wrong. And the reality is I'm not here to prove anybody right or wrong. Like, this has been our experience. People just get really ugly, and I see how it can cause division, and that's never my heart. Because I think there's so much beauty in the cultures and the ethnicities that God has created, in the places that we come from. And if we could just open up, especially as believers, to the Imago Dei on each and every soul, no matter how they were raised or brought up. You don't know the situation. Don't blanket statement people.
Yeah.
You don't want to be blanket statement. Like, you don't want that put on you. But if we can open up, the reality is who Christ is, that he created each of us uniquely in their image. It says in our image, right? Then each one of us has that on us.
Yeah.
And there's brokenness and there's heartache, and I'm not trying to undermine or what am I trying to say? I'm not trying to be insensitive about the things you've gone through, or haven't gone through, like. But there's still just so much beauty.
Yeah.
In this.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So we endure that. High school was high school. Toxic.
Emotional, hormones, puberty.
Sex. Did that. Then,
Yeesh.
we get saved. We get married. 2012. We're married. I'm 22. You're 20. No, you just turned 21.
No, I was 20. I turned 21 6 days later.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, you got it.
Late 2012, the Trayvon Martin thing happens. And right shortly after that,
Mike
Brown, Eric Gardner. Like, there's just a whole bunch of things going on. And there's conversation.
There was, man. And it's like, for me, it's embarrassing conversation.
But it's not.
Because you're right. But I think there's just social media. It's like people become emotional and then they post things. And I'm just like, wow, like, okay, I might have fallen over there just because of just a mindset that's been passed down. And but that's clearly not my heart. Like, but there's no grace given. And sometimes from the body of believers, there's no grace given.
Yeah.
And I think you do an amazing job of allowing people to ask questions, and you being safe, whether you're married to a white woman or not. Like, you could be upset. Like, you could not respond the way that you do, but I think you understand who Christ is in your life and what he's done, and that we're all flawed and have broken views. And if somebody's genuinely trying to learn, and not just trying to learn around MLK, not just trying to learn around when another black man or black woman gets killed and having a race panel, come on, like, we can do better. Right? Like, if there's questions, or like, I just feel like it's always highlighted in those moments, and it's like, no, that ain't it.
Yeah. but there was a lot of conversation that we were having and gaining perspective.
Yeah.
I'm gaining perspective
humbling.
from you, you gaining perspective from me, but it was beautiful.
It was. Because then we went down a rabbit hole of like the Del Mar Divide.
Yeah.
And just how,
And
and
what
then
that is.
even like in downtown Houston, like when we're, like literally when we're driving, I, took Mom the other day and I'm like, oh, that's gentrification.
Yeah.
It's rich people trying to move into the poor areas and basically kick the poor people out.
Yeah. But it led to a lot of beautiful conversation to where it's like, it's not just you sniping at me from far off,
No.
me sniping at you from far off. No, we have to get down in the mud and the muck with each other, and we're married. So even if the conversation gets a little heated or it's like, I don't really agree with you, it's not like, oh, well then.
I think more uncomfortable than anything. For me, it was uncomfortable.
You go your way, I go my way. No, we
there ain't
go
no
the
ways to
same
go.
way. So it was like,
This
it
is
was
not the Del Mar Divide.
it was beautiful because we had to have these uncomfortable conversations around these very tragic, traumatic events.
Yeah.
But like, we weren't going anywhere.
No.
And I think that is a picture, if you don't get anything else from this,
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful picture of there has to be racial recognition before there's racial reconciliation.
Ooh, that's good. I like that.
I have to
Yeah, recognize.
recognize who you are.
Yeah.
You have to recognize who I am. And even if it's completely different,
Yeah.
we still have to get to a place where there is ethnic harmony because you're singing a different note, I'm singing a different note, but that doesn't mean that I'm lesser than or you're lesser than.
Yeah.
So we have to recognize each other before we can actually.
Would you say racial recognition before racial reconciliation?
Yes, you have to.
That's so good.
There has to be racial recognition before there's racial reconciliation.
God, you
And
could
I
just
feel
use
like,
that.
and I feel like that's what happened because it's like it's not like we knew, and that's the reason why we're talking about our background. We knew that there was a difference.
Yeah.
As teenagers, we see and feel the difference, but it kind of just was swept under. Not really swept under, but it's like you're learning about my culture. I'm learning about your culture.
It was fun.
Your
And
dad.
it still is fun.
Yeah, your dad. We riding around. He buying Johnny Cash CDs, and he's like, we're playing them and he's showing me, all of these different songs. We're doing the same thing. We watched the Marley documentary together, and we're learning. But there was no. It was fun until it's like this happened, and now you feel some type of way. I feel some type of way. And we have to work through this.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
what were you gonna say? You said I think it's fun. Okay. Well, it doesn't matter.
Well, I was gonna say to your statement. You said though there has to be racial recognition before there's racial reconciliation, and I think since we're talking about a relationship, I also think there has to be a recognition that you're a broken soul and I'm a broken soul before there can be reconciliation. Because I think a lot of the times what can happen is for us, and maybe for some single people who the desire is so deep that you're borderlining it being an idol.
Yeah.
Like, I fantasized about getting married to you. Like, I fantasized about what it would look like. I fantasized about our kids. I fantasized about their names and how many we're going to have, all the things. But it's like recognizing he is going to let me down. And I'm going to let him down. But you don't think that, right? You think, oh, we're going to get married and we'll be good because we can finally have sex. And we're not like living in sin, both of us being raised in the church and all those things. But I think recognizing that, I think can make reconciliation so much better or easier to confront.
Possible.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Even possible.
Like even possible. Because if we're just coming into it hoping that, okay, you fill my basket. Come on, babe. Keep filling it. Keep filling it. Nope, you're not doing it enough. Okay, well, what do we... You're wearing a cape that you can't commit to. You can't wear it. And so once we can see that in each other, that, okay, that the human recognition, that you are totally depraved like I'm totally depraved. Oh, okay, now we can reconcile. Because the Father has reconciled us to Him.
Yeah.
So Lord, reconcile us in.
Yeah.
Did you make that by yourself, or did you hear that? I really like that because
Beautiful.
you can use that in so many different. Like, just there has to be a recognition of it before there's reconciliation.
Yeah.
You go, big dog. All right.
Yeah. So, how has this like impacted our kids? In what ways has this, because it's not just us now.
No, it's not.
Now it's them.
I used to think we screwed up by having kids. There was a moment where I remember saying, like, babe, what about our kids? Like, they'll never be black enough and they'll never be white enough. Like, obviously in families. But, even as cousins, as you get older, you separate and I'm just thinking, oh my gosh. And I even had, there was somebody in high school who said that because I was dating you in high school, obviously, and they were like, well, what about their kids? They're gonna have such a hard time. Da 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 da. Now as an adult, I want to be like, well, why would they have a hard time? Because of people like you? Obviously, there would be a more gracious, loving, gentle way to say that and challenge that. But why would they have a hard time?
Yeah.
Right.
Because you don't like it?
Yeah.
Because he's got more melanin than me? Mine's just popping through, But the Lord is kind and even, and like I said, I also want to reiterate, these are my insecurities. These were my fears. These, and I don't believe these things, because I know who my Father is.
Yeah.
Right? And, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I think, and this is another aspect of people not understanding unless you're in our shoes or in similar situations. There was one time whenever our kids were still in public school, we had a couple over for dinner. This was in
second grade.
Yeah, this was their first time over
we were
for
actually
dinner.
Meeting his girl.
Yeah, we were
girlfriend
meeting
at the time.
right. One of our friends' girlfriends for the first time, and we're at the dinner table, and Deuce goes, "It's wrong for you to."
No, he said, "Mommy, why did you marry Daddy?"
Oh, there you go.
And I was like, "Well, because I love Daddy and he's my best friend." He goes, "Well, you're not supposed to marry Daddy." Y'all. I said, "Why not?" He said, "Well, because Daddy's black and you're white." I said, "Who the hell told you that?" He said, "Well, Marcus said." I said, "Listen to me." I said, "That's not true." And I said, "Whoever's teaching Marcus that, it's not true."
And this is a conversation that we're having at the dinner table with
nobody prepares you
new
for these
people
things as parents. You know what I mean? Like, you want to have this conversation right now, like, in my emotion, like, I'm caught off guard and I'm like,
yeah. But it's like, who prepares you for that?
Yeah.
What situation prepares you for that?
Right.
What class prepares you for that? And it's like, you're thinking over here, like, and most people think from, 20,000 feet, 30,000 feet, that this is just a political issue. But let's sit down at the table with your child, where somebody at school is telling him one of these things, or this thing, and telling your son that it's wrong that his mom and dad are together. This isn't just a political thing.
No.
This is our life. This is at 6 p.m. on a Thursday evening.
Right. With
Our
company
life.
over.
Right.
Well, even a more recent one too. Like, it's not just a political thing. Kids see these things. Now, do I think how you handle it matters?
Right.
And my daughter, she on her last team, there was only 2 white girls. There's six players all together.
Mm-hmm.
So my kids are homeschooled. Kaya has never gone to public school. And there was one time she said, Mommy,
You have to.
Oh,
speak
sorry.
up.
My bad, y'all. I keep forgetting. I can't really whisper, okay? Sorry. But she was like, Mommy, there's other brown girls like me. And it like kind of just And I was like, you're right, babe. She was like, look, it's me. And then she started naming
Yeah.
all the brown girls. And she was like, and then there's only 2 white girls. Like, and you can't, or how they would differentiate between their grandpas.
Yeah.
My white grandpa and my black grandpa. And my mother-in-law, because that was a season where I'm trying to wade through it. Like, okay, how do I handle this? And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, don't say that. And my mother-in-law was like, no, like, he is black. He
Yeah.
is white. Like,
Right.
you know, because there's so much political crap wrapped around it. Nobody's safe.
Right.
But the reality is, it's not a bad thing.
Right.
He has a black papa, and obviously now it's papa and grandpa. But that's for Deuce. That's what it was for a little while. My black papa and my white papa, and it's like
Well, especially for a young child,
Yeah.
it's an identifying
fine factor.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And the reality is that for you, you're going to have to, you and Jess may have to have some similar conversations
Right.
with, you know, y'all being different ethnicities than your kids.
Then the boys, yeah.
You know? So it's like, you know, there ain't nothing to prepare you for
No.
whenever that
But
conversation
I think
happens.
there is something to prepare us. It's the
Well,
Lord.
I'm
I know.
talking about
Like
from
how
the
to handle
standpoint
it.
of like, oh snap, when is it going to
I
come?
wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Right, like you don't know. This is a not a slap in the face, but it's like, oh,
Yeah.
whoa, I wasn't. That's what I mean by
Yeah, for sure.
you don't
Oh,
prepare
I mean,
for it.
and- yeah, I mean, we don't have the
Yeah.
the marriage, you know, difference that that y'all have, but like as far as like what you're saying, the tough questions on a Thursday at dinner.
Yeah,
We
I
in
mean,
there.
Just the other day,
Yeah.
the boys asked, both Jerick and Ryder both asked about their first mom.
Mm.
You know, and it was just like random questions, but
Yeah.
you know, they're curious. They know
Yeah.
that they're adopted. They
Yeah.
know something's different.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, random hard questions are a real thing.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think something I'm trying to grow into is not being afraid of hard questions. But also remembering I don't have to have all the answers. Like, even if I need time to process how I want to respond to you, saying, hey, you know what? I think that's a great question. Mommy needs a little bit of time to process and put my words together so that I can communicate it well. You know,
responding rather than reacting.
reacting. Because when my baby came home and told me what Marcus told him, that was definitely a reaction. You know, not one I'm proud of, but at the same time, it's like, obviously, we're growing. We're learning new things. Lord, give me grace. Grant me the grace in these areas, and to be able to walk in them gracefully from here on out, to be able to just remember I don't have to have all the questions or all the answers, and that's a sweet thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I want to be a person that's constantly learning, constantly growing, constantly asking hard questions,
Yeah.
and figuring things out.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So, what do you think has been the most impactful thing that you've experienced, that you've heard, that you've whatever in being married to me?
From you?
Yeah. Or my family, or whatever.
Oh, I need a minute.
I will say while you're okay.
Yeah,
you
no,
got it.
go ahead.
I'll say while you're thinking.
I can't think and listen at the same time, babe.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. See, this is where the podcast thing is difficult for me. I was gonna say probably your mom, because there are some people in your family who, you know, want to turn their nose up, and I think because I've been in the family so long, it's not that anymore. But it is sweet when they like, you know, they're like, oh, that's a crucian girl right there. You know, like it's them saying you're one of us. Like there's love in that. They don't just go around saying that to any old body. You know what I mean? And so it's just that feeling, and just who your mom's been in my life. Honestly, just coming from a completely different background, being raised differently, already being, you know, already raised her kids. Like she's been so impactful in just bringing something from that and just graciously giving it to me. And I remember I was always scared of his mom. So petrified. She was a feisty Puerto Rican. Wow. She was feisty when we were dating. Now she's got grandkids and she getting a little tender. She getting a little tender. No, it's good. But there was don't do my mother-in-law like that. Soft. No, she's tender and gentle. Okay, she ain't soft because I've seen her. She still got that fire in her. She called me my freshman year of college, which is a whole nother story. He called me and I was struggling. And
different time.
Different time. That's not who I am anymore.
Different subject for a different day.
We're not going to touch that today. Maybe one day. But he was like, here, talk to my mom. Because in high school, junior high, we'd be sitting there chatting on the phone. And she'd be like, Xavier, it's 9 o'clock. Get off the phone. Literally, when I would hear that Xav, up, and just get quiet. So I'd never actually spoken to her, like had a conversation.
At that point,
yeah, because number one, I feel like her accent is not as thick anymore, or maybe I've been around long enough that I can understand her. But like on the phone, like couldn't understand her. Or anytime, like I would be so nervous. I think I could hear my heart beating out of my ears, so I couldn't really understand. Just not. Would that be considered a language barrier? She was speaking English, but it was just with a thick accent. Anyways, it doesn't matter. She got on the phone and she said, Lauren. That's how she says my name. She said, don't give them power over who you are. She was like, you can't give them power over who you are. And like she said some other things, but that was the one thing that has always stuck with me, and it spoke volumes for me in that season of my life. And I was just like, wow, like that's good. Like I'm giving this situation and these people power over my life that it's consuming me. Yeah, I mean, I could think of 100 different things.
Yeah. No, so go ahead. That's great. I would say definitely everything that was going on with the racial tension and us having all of those conversations was super impactful because it gave me an ear for somebody to listen, but also for me to listen. It was a beautiful moment to where we got to connect, even though we had different perspectives, didn't mean that we couldn't come together,
right,
and actually understand each other. So I think that was super impactful. Another impactful moment was, and I'll keep this short, I asked your parents, it was whenever you were away in college, and I would go over there every night. I'd go and I'd watch Wheel of Fortune with her mom and dad. And then I would watch the Astros lose with them as well, which brought me great joy. But there was one time where, it's like, I just got the courage to ask them, like, why are y'all different? Like, why are y'all treating me this way? This isn't always my experience. And so we got to have a real conversation, and they just expressed their heart of why they're not treating me differently because I'm black. And it was beautiful. It was a beautiful moment. But it was also like, I feel like there was a deeper connection to and a deeper appreciation. But also for me, I think I got the courage to ask that because I wanted to ask that. And it's like, your daughter isn't even here. She's states away, but yet I'm still welcome in your home without her. So it was like, okay, like I've got to ask now, like why is this okay, and why are y'all different?
I can remember having like black friends who were boys, and they were like, "Is it okay if I come in your house?" I'm like, and in my head, because this is before me, like I'm like, "Yeah, it's fine, come on," and it was just even PJ when he came over that one night with us and my dad, and it was just, I didn't understand it, right? Because they're just people, right? Like
Yeah.
you're beautiful, like you're people, you're different, and I want to know more. Like the music, that was the one thing. I'm going down the rabbit
You're
trail. Is
good.
that okay?
Yeah.
When me and Kanisha, I started hanging out with Kanisha, and we started like we did the glamour shots at the Pasadena Memorial Mall. We wore red. It was me, Kanisha, and Dee Dee. We had red on. We did these glamour shots and stuff, and
I remember that. The pictures.
yeah, and I wish I think I might actually have one. Anyways,
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry, I'm gonna lose it. So when I would go stay the night at her house, it was very different. Very different. Like a culture shock. We had animals. They do not. We ran around barefoot and wore our shoes in the house. They do not walk outside without shoes on, and they take their shoes off every time they come inside.
Have to.
Have to. The carpet is beautifully vacuumed, one strip at a time, with the vacuum
there is a
with the
method.
vacuum mark. There's plastic on the floor that you have to stay on. There's tables that you don't sit at. There's couches you don't sit on. There's a whole lot of cleaning that happens that I was unaware of. But I loved it. Like I like a clean house. I'm saying all that to say that like I wanted to know more, like, and that's where I started listening to reggae music or soca, dance hall, and all these things. And Remedy came on the other day, and Zavi goes, he's in the back, and he was like, oh, I love this song. I was like, oh, dude. He was like, yeah. He goes, it reminds me of Paw Paw. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah. I forgot to tell your dad that. But, you know, it's really cool. I think it's a beautiful thing that our kids get to experience something, you know, from both sides, and how we've meshed it together, and how we don't, you know, like sometimes you could walk in and my Pandora will be playing dance hall music.
Yep.
We'll be playing Bob Marley. Like Deuce has been asking a lot of questions about Bob Marley lately. And it's just cool. It's cool to be able to just experience it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. Yeah, so this is just the tip of the iceberg of our conversation. This is just kind of a nice, quick little glance into what we've experienced, and there's probably going to be more conversation in the future, just in specific areas of just what our interracial marriage looks like. So. Thank you guys for tapping in with us.
Are we not going to say what do we want to leave the viewers with? One last thing.
You can.
Yeah, I would like to say. I'd like to. Yep.
Yeah, go for it.
That's my way of saying. I would just like to say. Range is back there telling how ready he is.
Oh, that
I would
person
just.
can't take her nowhere, huh? Golly.
No, but listen, for real, I would really just like to encourage all viewers to be gracious and kind. Be gracious and kind, not just in black and white, okay, but be gracious and kind in all areas, especially when you have no experience or you're not living life with people who are living that experience, and you get a front row view of that. Be gracious and kind. You don't know what those people are going through, you know, like don't just assume things. Be gracious and kind, and just get to know people.
Yeah.
Just ask them genuinely. Don't be, what is it called, an active listener, where you're just looking to rebuke, to refute, to argue.
Yeah.
Don't be that kind of like be gracious and kind, and just listen, and know that, you know what, man, that's an experience. Just try to be understanding.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
That's beautiful.
I'm actually glad Lauren stopped you.
Okay. All right.
There we go.
Because I actually want to give you guys a
flower.
A flower, a thank you or whatever, because both of you have always been so open to questions, open to, you know, anything. I can remember, I don't remember the year, but I remember vividly being at youth camp as a, what do you call it, chaperone or whatever. And whatever the message was or whatever, just like broke me. And I went to Lauren and I just cried to her, you know, just saying, I'm sorry. And afterwards, she's like, "What are you sorry for?" I said, "Who I was, you know, middle school, high school, on, you know, just the amount of sheer ignorance, you know, and just and no, not that I've done anything specifically to either one of y'all, but things that I've said to
been
other
a part
people
of,
when I was in school, or you know, that I've thought, and you know, just being there to help walk through that and to listen to that and to provide answers for that, you know, and to, you know, to help provide answers for things that we're going to go through, Jessica and I, with the boys, you know, because I never had to think about whether or not I could walk through the store with my hood on or not, you know, and the fact that I have to think about to teach the boys things like that, you know, but I know those things because of being around you guys and the openness that you have, and your willingness to answer tough, awkward questions. So I want to say thank y'all.
Well, praise God, because I think at the end of the day, that's who God is for us. Because if we continue in America down the path we're going of being angry on either side, especially as believers, we are not representing the Christ we say we follow well. We're not. We're not doing it right. And so if, like, we need to be more gracious and kind and extending that to the people in any type of situation, not just race, but any type of situation, because that's who God is. God doesn't leave us in our mess when we confess. That's called guilt. Guilt is not from God. Conviction is, because conviction draws us to repentance. And I challenge y'all, or challenge us as believers, like, we need to be more gracious and kind. The world is hard enough. Life is hard enough. Bills are hard enough. Groceries are stupid expensive. Like, you know, and regardless of who's in office, life is hard. And that's okay. Because this isn't our home. This is not our home. And we can still have sorrow with joy. We can still live life gracious and kind because of who God is in our life. And I think too, if we're struggling at being gracious and kind, we really need to do a self audit. Okay, Lord, do I really understand who you are in my life? Do I really understand your character? In the last podcast, Xavier talked about when you read scripture, don't just go reading to try and fit what's happening in your life. No, read it to understand who God is, the character of God. When you start reading scriptures to understand who God is, baby, that'll open a whole new door for you. At least it did for me. And if it doesn't change you, then you may need a new Bible, or so maybe you're not reading the right version. I don't know. But like, seriously, be gracious and kind. Life's hard enough, and we're all going through things. All of us. So.
It's beautiful.
You're beautiful. I think I said it last time. I can't say that this time. Dang!
That's beautiful. Well.
I'm done.
Okay.
I don't have nothing
well,
else to say.
I'm glad that y'all cut me off and said what y'all had to say. That was good. That was beautiful. But we have one more week with this beautiful thing right here. So we will be back next week. Thank you guys for tapping in with us. We will see you guys next week.